Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We have a ton to cover in this video. Bekah Martinez apologizes for her previously one-sided take on Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. So of course, trigger warning, there'll be a little bit of talk about domestic violence here. And yeah, Bekah, I guess she thinks she got it wrong. She went on a rant and says, "Good night, internet. Hope I don't get canceled tomorrow." She made this podcast. And again, look, I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm not here to rub anyone's nose in it. You did this wrong. You did that wrong. What happens is there's a barometer when you talk about things online where you'll get backlash if you're uneducated or ignorant towards your take. So she has a podcast. She has a big following. When we talk about Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, I'm trying to be very careful because it's very fascinating. It's very unique. It's celebrity culture. It's narcissism. And who knows? I'm not a psychologist. Who knows? But it's a lot more complicated than just firing off, this is why he's guilty, X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to play a few of her clips. And then afterwards, I'm going to play you this apology sort of statement that this Instagram clip that she has there. So lots to get into. Follow this page if you want more updates, and also I'm going to have all of my dedicated Johnny Depp Amber Heard updates on Dave Neal Show. I've been making just about a video a day with regards to that case, so we're following it there. If you're not familiar, his ex wrote an op-ed in 2019 in the Washington Post accusing her former boyfriend of being an abuser. She didn't mention Johnny Depp by name, but of course everyone in the world knew who it was. He lost several movies because of that. He once had a $650 million estate, and he is now worth $150 million. He's still suing her for $50 million because he feels that she defamed him because he like he says, "I've never laid a finger on her." So let's have a watch.
I did a deep dive, and now I'm like, yes, I'm a Today Show correspondent. Like, ask me all the questions. Like, what the fuck?
Okay, first of all, how is he suing her for defamation? Like, how is he bringing forward any case to prove that she knowingly lied about their relationship? Like, how does he even have a case to sue her?
He's not even butthurt about that, Bekah, from like everything that I've been reading. He's literally upset that he was recasted from J.K. Rowling's
Yeah, I remember that.
Fantastic Beasts. I'm like, okay, your character wasn't that great, and that movie was not going to give you the paycheck that you thought you needed. Like,
so according to this, if you're allowed to be defamed if the paycheck isn't that good. Do you know what I mean? Like, he lost money, he lost his livelihood because of this. So he feels that if his ex Amber's lying and he can prove defamation, he should recoup some of that. You know, basically being kind of ostracized from his Hollywood community. That's a nuclear code. That's radioactive. If you're a wife beater, if you're an abuser, you should not be working in Hollywood. If that is the case, if someone lied about you, you should be able to try to prove your innocence and recoup that. So I'll share a couple more clips, but I was so curious about how people thought of this YouTube video that I went to the comments, and I swear the first comment I saw, "If anyone would like to hear a more accurate and informed rundown of the Depp Heard trial, Dave Neal is doing a good job of covering it. I'll link the video." And then, of course, 95 likes. Absolutely agree. Listen, I'm no scientist. I'm no expert. I'm none of those things. I'm curious for the truth. We've heard of Johnny Depp from on this trial. He's been cross-examined. Some of the videos are pretty horrifying, really sad. A lot of drug and opiate use, of course. That's going to just be a terrible look to watch, but that doesn't mean he is what she's accusing him of being. And again, she'll have her chance to speak as well. So but the case is ongoing. So we should not be calling him these sorts of calling him a wife beater and all these things before we get to the solution of the case here.
It's that franchise is the juggernaut that it is. So yeah, he's upset that he was recasted from that. And I think, wasn't there like a Pirates film that...
So let me buffer this forward here. I think it's less that he's upset that he was recast and more that he lost work due to what he's calling our defamatory lies. So they're looking at it, I think they're looking at it from an emotional place where they're saying, oh, he's butthurt. And it's like, well, that's not exactly why he's suing. I think it's to clear his name.
I think we've got a classic anxious avoidant attachment going on here. However,
Okay, girl.
However, is this supposed to be proof that it was justified that he was abusing her because Amber was the one instigating the arguments? What is this? What is this? What?
So when you only are watching, I don't know, portions of a court trial, you're going to absorb whatever information, whatever biases exist from the journals you're reading, the media you're reading. Of course, they're not trying to prove, there's no smoking gun in this court case, so it's hard for Depp to prove his innocence so much as to show his character throughout, which again doesn't mean he didn't do it.
Listen to this one. Listen to this one. Listen to this one. Listen to this one. Depp himself also smiled in the courtroom when one of these texts was revisited, in which, while apologizing for refusing to see her on a particular day, he told her, "You can give me some morphine to see if my tongue and penis touch."
That's it. That's the one. That's the one
So
I wanted
a lot
to
of
get
people,
to.
apparently just a lot of people have had a lot of backlash to sort of the, I don't know if you call it a flippant way that they're talking about Depp's addiction here, but being addicted, I can only imagine how difficult that is. It's not an excuse to harm anybody, but it certainly doesn't prove that he would have harmed someone because he was struggling with this wild addiction here. So after this commercial, I'm going to share with you guys this next clip, and then I'm going to play Bekah's response. I know it's a little complicated. They went on. I mean, it's hard to find one clip that was kind of off. It was kind of like take after take. You could just see that they're watching the Johnny Depp case with a suspicion that kind of is like he's already guilty. Let's kind of like watch it from that lens. But to be quite honest, it appears to me that most people are on Johnny Depp's side. And of course the question is, well, are they on his side because he was this lovable character that people have known for a while? Or are they on his side because her story and testimony and the information just doesn't add up so far?
How can anyone look at him and think he's well? But to use this as a way to eclipse...
No, again, just so remember, the trial is not whether Johnny Depp is well or not. It's whether he, abused his wife at the time.
Say, okay, this is where Johnny Depp will be vindicated. I think it's gross. And it's not to even say, like, I'm not even in Amber's camp. Like, there's no team Johnny, there's no team, Amber, there's team anti-violence against, like, what the f*** are we talking about?
I think that's also another reason why I say, like, no one ever gets canceled. Like, there's always going to be someone in someone's camp. Doesn't matter what they do.
So I'd push back on this idea of canceling being like you're banished to a desert to live your life. No, canceling, the real definition, as the way I see it, is canceling is when your actions, whether you did them or not, led to losing money or status or some form of power within your circle. So Louis C.K. was canceled because he had a film coming out that he had funded that was then dropped because of his scandal. And that cost him $30 million. He was canceled. He ended up starting comedy again 2 years later and now performs all over the world. So people go, oh, Louis C.K. was never canceled. Canceling is on a spectrum. It's not just a death sentence. If you're being put in timeout for a month or a year, that is a form of canceling. So that's why I reject when people go, oh, boy, he wasn't even canceled. No, he for sure lost income because of what Amber said. The question is, was Amber telling the truth? You can't defame somebody if it's the truth. If Johnny Depp can prove with, beyond a reasonable doubt or whatever that she was lying, then, the court could side with him. But it is an uphill battle.
There's podcast hosts out there. I always say this to Jess. I'm like, there's podcast hosts out there who have, sexually abused women and it's documented and whatever, and they still got ad reads on their episodes. No one ever really gets canceled, in my opinion. And
in my opinion, I completely disagree. Now the question is whether the canceling is justified or not. But let's at least argue the same facts here. People do get canceled. Just because a Roman Polanski still wins an Oscar doesn't mean that overall people don't get canceled. I have plenty of people in my comment sections that have talked about their fathers being accused of things and being fired. I mean, it exists out there. It's not to say that you know, maybe in most cases, someone being canceled deserves whatever the punishment, but we do know that the pendulum will swing past its target, and that's something I don't think we can argue.
I think this is a perfect example of that. There's always going to be someone,
like you said, there's these people who it's like, I'll be the first to admit, was I a 7th grader with a Johnny Depp poster in my room? 1,000%.
Of course we all were.
Did I enjoy his movies? Yes. Hey, guess what? He's an abuser.
Whoa.
We're done.
Whoa. And that's where we are, folks. That's where we are in society. Here's what Bekah had to say about it. Because obviously she must have gotten a lot of hate from this. This all took place Saturday. I'm recording this Sunday. You guys are going to get this Monday.
Like, I'm sorry, when you're doing, like, investigative journalism or whatever, and you're interspersing between your coverage of the trial, like, edits of Johnny Depp with, like, the Euphoria soundtrack playing behind it as he, like, walks in slow motion, like, you're a fan. Like, clearly there is a lot here, and clearly there are some issues with Amber.
So Bekah's on the side now that the people that are coming after her are doing so because they're fans of Johnny. Now, if you're a fan of Johnny, it's hard to prove his innocence because you're going to have your own bias. You're going to see it in a certain way. I totally understand that. But Bekah sort of comes around within these stories to going, you're right, there is more to the story than we reported.
And some issues with Johnny, and it does seem like there is like the media headlines, even just like with the stuff taking text out of context and stuff, the conversation, like Johnny's text trying to paint a picture of him. I totally see that, but also I'm like, okay, you're a fan here, and this feels very one-sided. And also, like, now that I am going down the rabbit hole, I totally see why people with our episode the other day were like, y'all need to do a little bit bigger of a deep dive.
All right, so Bekah's going down the rabbit hole. But what she calls it the rabbit hole, what she really means is she's doing more research into the topic she had previously discussed where she didn't have all the research. So going down the rabbit hole, if you're looking at conspiracies, you're going down the rabbit hole with regards to flat earth and you're this and that. That's one thing. Going down the rabbit hole of a court case just means she's becoming more educated about the things that she previously spoke about.
I get it. And it's hard because you don't know what you don't know.
And then she goes, this is one of the, I love this thing too. You guys know me. I love it is what it is at the end of the day, you know. And then she goes, you don't know what you don't know. It's like, well, when calling somebody an abuser, when you don't know what you don't know, lean on the side, lean with it, rock with it, lean on the side, snap it back, of innocence so that you don't accidentally accuse someone of something that they either haven't been proven to be or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it is what it is, but you don't know what you don't know. And that's your Davism for the day.
Till you know. And like, if you're, I read news articles.
I love lamp. I have leather-bound books. My office reeks of mahogany.
Usually follow Johnny Depp fan accounts for court coverage. Okay, that was too far.
But now she's laughing at the fact that she's like, look, sorry, I don't normally follow these accounts. Totally, but you were speaking about it as if he was guilty on your podcast, and you got to be more careful than that, right? And people's general thing with like Johnny is like, sure, he's a celebrity. He still is worth $150 million. They made it seem like he's like broke, but trying to sell his, he's trying to do a yard sale to make a few bucks back. No, he still clears $60 million a year in revenue and royalties. He just has some people that embezzled money and hasn't paid some taxes. Which of us haven't been in that situation? But the point being is she's. It's like, be careful with what you say. Let's be more impeccable with our word. 4 agreements. Come on.
But I am actually seeing now that there's a lot more to it.
All right. So then she says, I am now seeing that there's a lot more to it. Well, here we are.
Anyway. I just can't help like noticing certain.
Oh, look, she actually says it. Regardless of the truth, at the end of the day, I have noticed specific misogynistic undertones in the dialogue. No, there is no regardless of the truth. It's all about the truth. Okay, we can talk about undertones, and we can have court cases that talk about how, you know, prosecutors will slut shame you, or there'll be a bias within the court. Absolutely, but there's no regardless of the truth. It is about the truth.
Undertones in the conversation, like that sort of mirror other times when women do come forward about certain stuff. Like I really don't I don't know who's telling the truth or what. This is messy, okay? All I'm saying is I've noticed that there's an undertone of a theme of like one undertone theme I've sort of noticed is like, if you're a whore or a cheater, like, you know, then you're a liar and like nothing you say could be trusted.
Okay, I get her point that people will try to do a character slam of somebody to slut shame them and say, oh, you're a whore, you're a cheater, as Bekah just says, that means you might have done it or you can't tell the truth now. But that's just not what's happening in this case. Nobody has accused Amber Heard of being a whore. She did cheat. She cheated. That's maybe part of the character witness that does come into play in a domestic violence case, that she had previously cheated and she had previously, I believe, slapped her ex. That was brought up as well. These things are in the case. These are sort of important information. But the idea of there being undertones, no, they're trying to get all the facts out there. Johnny's on the trial of his life. Okay, he's trying to prove his innocence. You know, that's very hard in a defamation case. In normal life, you're innocent until proven guilty. In a defamation case, you're guilty until you can prove that what they said was wrong. It's very challenging.
And I just think of like other trials I've seen where, you know, she was slutty, so how could she be raped, you know? Anyway, just kind of like a theme undertone.
It's tough, though, when she says that as a theme undertone, because that's not what this case is about. That's why we find a jury that hasn't heard much about the case already, because we can't bring in undertones from previous cases. We can't take someone's previous exoneration and apply it to this case. It's got to be fair and just, and I know that's not easy in the court system, but she came at it saying, you know, they came at it with the point of view that he already was the abuser. So that's not fair either.
Regardless of the actual facts.
I hate when they say regardless of the actual facts. No, what we're looking for is the facts. Someone said, prepare to be publicly shamed for making fun of her tomorrow. Apparently, this is an account that she's fighting over the Johnny Depp trials with. Let's see what else she has here. I think she has one or two more things that she had to say with regards to how this all went down. But yeah, she's going to get backlash. Let's go to our final. Here's our final thought here.
I just want to say sorry because now I'm realizing like how.
Okay, so she said, I just want to say sorry. I don't know if that counts as her apology, but she did apologize technically. She goes, I just want to say sorry, but.
Black and white, we made it on our podcast.
So she says, I'm apologizing for how black and white we made it on our podcast. Okay, that's good. That's true. You made it black and white, and it's way more complicated. It's not black and white if it's a 60-day court trial with some of the most expensive lawyers. Oh, it's so black and white. We're going to have to draw this out 60 days in the summer.
Episode.
She says, good night, internet. Hope I don't get canceled tomorrow. Well, she doesn't believe cancel culture exists. Although I'm sure Bekah's lost gigs because of cancel culture. It's always funny when people don't think something exists and then it literally happens to them and you go, look, okay, that doesn't mean it's justified or not justified, but let's not pretend that this world isn't out there. So she apologizes for a Johnny Depp take. Let me know what you guys think. I'll have all of my coverage over on the Dave Neal Show with regards to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation case. It's very fascinating. It isn't black and white. It is very nuanced, and it's a real tragic case of a lot of toxicity. That's all I can say there. All right, folks, let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.